Once upon a time, in a small town surrounded by green hills, there stood a cozy little house with a bright red roof. Inside this house lived a family of 3, a little boy named Jack, his mom, and his dad. Jack was 7 years old, with curly brown hair that bounced when he ran and bright blue eyes that sparkled like the sky on a sunny day. He loved playing outside in his backyard, which had a big oak tree and a wooden swing that his dad had built. One warm morning, as the sun peeked through the curtains of Jack's room, something strange and magical happened. Jack, still in his pajamas with dinosaurs printed on them, heard a soft noise coming from the hallway. It sounded like tiny footsteps tapping on the wooden floor. Curious, Jack got out of bed, his feet pattering quietly as he tiptoed down the hall. When he reached the living room, Jack gasped. Standing right by the open door was a tiny dinosaur. It was no bigger than a puppy, with soft green skin covered in little blue spots. The dinosaur had a long, wiggly tail and small, round eyes that were wide with curiosity. Its tiny claws made soft clicking sounds as it cautiously stepped inside the house. Jack stood still, his heart pounding with excitement. The little dinosaur blinked its big eyes at Jack and tilted its head, letting out a soft, high-pitched roar. Jack wasn't scared at all. Instead, he smiled and said, "Hello there." His curly hair bounced as he crouched down to get a better look. Just then, Jack's mom entered the room. She had long brown hair tied in a neat ponytail, and her kind face, framed by her glasses, softened when she saw the dinosaur. At first, she was shocked, but the little creature didn't seem dangerous at all. In fact, it looked rather hungry. Its small tummy made a loud grumbling sound, and it licked its lips with its long, pink tongue. Jack's dad, tall and strong with short black hair and a beard that made him look like a superhero, came in next. "What's this?" he asked, his deep voice filled with surprise. But before anyone could answer, the little dinosaur sniffed the air and waddled toward Jack's dad, its small feet tapping lightly on the floor. Jack's dad chuckled and held out a bowl of fresh fruit from the kitchen table. The tiny dinosaur eagerly gobbled up some apples and berries, making happy little grunts as it ate. "We should give him a name," Jack said, his face lighting up with excitement. His blue eyes sparkled as he looked at the dinosaur. "How about Tiny?" "Tiny?" his mom asked, smiling as she watched the dinosaur finish the last piece of fruit. "It seems like a perfect name." From that day on, Tiny became part of the family. He was a playful little dinosaur, always following Jack around the house. Every morning, Jack would wake up, brush his curly hair, and rush downstairs to find Tiny waiting by the door, his little tail wagging with excitement. One afternoon, as the sun began to set, Jack and Tiny played in the backyard. Jack, wearing his favorite red shirt and blue jeans, ran as fast as his short legs could carry him. Tiny, with his short, stubby legs and tiny wings that flapped a little when he jumped, chased after him. They laughed and played under the big oak tree, where the leaves rustled gently in the breeze. Sometimes, Tiny would try to climb the tree, his tiny claws scratching against the bark, but he would always slide back down. Jack would laugh and say, "Don't worry, Tiny. One day, you'll be able to climb just like me." As the days turned into weeks, something incredible started happening. Tiny, once as small as a puppy, began to grow. His soft green skin shimmered under the sunlight, and his tiny wings became a little bigger each day. But even as he grew, Tiny still had the same round, friendly eyes that looked at Jack with so much love and trust. Jack's parents were amazed by how quickly Tiny was growing. His dad even built a special bed for Tiny in the corner of the living room, with soft blankets that Tiny loved to curl up in at night. Tiny would often nuzzle Jack's hand with his smooth, scaly head before falling asleep, his big eyes slowly closing as he let out a soft, contented sigh. One evening, as the stars twinkled in the night sky, Jack sat on the porch with Tiny beside him. The little dinosaur, now a bit taller, rested his head on Jack's lap. Jack gently stroked Tiny's smooth, green scales and looked up at the stars. "I wonder where you came from, Tiny," Jack whispered, his blue eyes filled with wonder. Tiny let out a soft, sleepy purr and closed his eyes, feeling safe and happy with his best friend by his side. As the seasons changed, Jack and Tiny grew even closer. In the winter, they built snowmen together in the backyard, with Tiny using his tiny claws to carve funny faces into the snow. In the spring, they played in the garden, where Tiny loved to chase butterflies with his little wings fluttering behind him. Tiny was no longer a tiny dinosaur, but he never outgrew his love for Jack. Even though he was now as tall as Jack's shoulders, with strong legs and a long, swishing tail, he still followed Jack everywhere. They were inseparable, the boy with the curly brown hair and the dinosaur with the green skin covered in blue spots. One day, while exploring the forest behind their house, Jack and Tiny stumbled upon a large footprint in the dirt. It was much bigger than Tiny's, and Jack's eyes widened in surprise. "Do you think there are more dinosaurs, Tiny?" Jack asked, looking at his friend. Tiny blinked his big eyes and let out an excited roar, as if to say, "Let's find out." And so, the adventure continued. Jack and Tiny, the best of friends, set off into the unknown, ready to discover whatever the world had in store for them. Together, they had become a team, always looking out for each other, and always ready for the next great adventure.
Dear kids, if you liked the story, please don't forget to like below and subscribe to our channel. See you in the next story. Goodbye.